welcome back to another episode of How to Start a War with Iran in 3 Easy Steps.
Wait, I thought that was how to start a war with smoking a cigarette with your thumb and index finger.
No, that's a very awkward way of smoking, don't you think?
I think it's cool.
It's cool looking. What is that?
You know what? I appreciate that every time we do these, you dress a little different. That means a lot to me.
Yeah. You always look the same.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh my. This is
the one.
One of the best.
Is it?
I
Corey,
think
you didn't agree with me last time.
Did I? No?
What? Well, okay. Tell me what you think now.
Definitely one of the best ones. I find that every time one of his adventures treats his mission with a sense of, like, it's personal, then it's like we care more. I mean, that's in any movie, but every time a Bond movie comes in, it's usually about the mission, so we feel a sense of detachment. But when it becomes personal to him, then we care.
Yes, I feel like this movie does a very good job, and it's very unique in this way of detaching itself from MI6, Britain, the government, like the Queen. We see M and Q for a second early, but we don't see Bond and M like till 40 minutes in.
Besides the opening scene, but
most of the movies is more about his relationship with Teresa,
played by Diana Rigg, who was in her prime at the time.
The movie actually branches far out of the formula.
It almost makes you wonder if that was done on purpose because it's a new James Bond.
It looks at You Only Live Twice and says, meh, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have like human emotions and have this girl, and it's the only Bond film with a montage, and they're like riding horses and like falling in love and like.
And I actually don't think that scene's bad.
No, I like it.
The idea of the montage, I think it sells the point. We're moving it along. The focus is not it. The whole focus of the movie is not over focused on the love.
The focus of the movie is where it attempts to be Bond's personal struggle, which is great. I'm glad we're going into a new realm here, right? Because we had that last movie with
marriage,
just a lot of like dumb stuff.
We have a marriage for marriage's sake. In this one, we have a marriage because it's legit. What do you think about George Lazenby as James Bond?
He's all right.
Seeing as how this is the only one he did, I really wish he did another.
Yeah, okay, so to be honest, he's my least favorite. I don't think he's bad. The thing is, he only did one, and he never had... I wish we could see, like, what would his career be like if he had grown into this role a little bit? Because Roger Moore is not Roger Moore in his first movie. I mean, Connery is fantastic, but he gets better.
You can definitely tell, though, that the producers were worried, because Sean Connery made this role, like, iconic. And
I want to see this movie with Sean Connery in it. There, I said it.
Somebody do a deep fake. We need a deep fake.
Yeah, that's the reason this movie isn't more widely regarded as one of the best.
Probably not.
Because he's not bad. And the thing I noticed this time around is, like, in the romantic moments, he's very soft, he's very gentle. Like, you look at I think about, like, the card scene where he spots Diana Rigg, like, 28,000 francs.
Yeah.
He's very gentle about it. He's, like, a very, like, gentleman about, like, okay, all right, he's a little suave, a little calm, a little cool.
But he's still able to get to the point, though, when he gets back to the hotel room, and he's like, I forget what it is, but he's like, he smacks her up, like, you're gonna tell me what you know, but then he's also like, I'm not gonna take advantage of you, because he pushes her away when you think that's a moment where he might pull her in for a kiss or something, but then he's just like, put your clothes on. Like, I was like, This Bond is kind of different. I like it, though. He's not blackmailing her to sleep with her.
Yeah, no, like he's got some interesting moments, and I'm with it. There's a big portion of the movie where he's pretending to be a gay guy. But the other thing is, like, there's so much of this movie where he's an action hero, where he's fighting. So he doesn't get a chance to be suave, charming Sean Connery.
See, I don't know if I can say he's my least favorite Bond yet, because I've actually never really seen the Timothy Dalton movies. We're gonna get there, but when I get there, we'll figure out what I think.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what you think.
Are you?
George Lazenby was an underwear model, and Timothy Dalton was a well-respected Shakespeare actor.
Ah, see. However,
something like that. I don't know, maybe, but that's.
So I said this to you. Watch the documentary on Hulu. This is for all of you too. Becoming Bond. George Lazenby's. It's a documentary about him. Super entertaining, super interesting about why he only did one movie. But I highly recommend that. But anyway, back to the movie. But yeah, you could definitely tell the producers were concerned. Yes. That they weren't going to sell this movie as well, so they lay on the member berries right from the beginning.
Member berries.
It's a little obvious.
This
and
movie
it's a little...
doesn't know what it wants to do, and this actually speaks to the franchise as a whole, as far as what it wants to do. So my least favorite line in the series is uttered in this film. This another happened to the other fellow.
I like that line though.
I hate it. It's too like.
I find it fun. Can't we just enjoy things?
It implies that 007 is a different person every time.
But Blofeld doesn't recognize him when he sees him in this movie, and yet the movie was trying to say that it's the same. That bothers me.
There is kind of this idea in the franchise that anyone can be 007.
Yeah.
And there's a concern with No Time to Die that this new 00 is 007 or James Bond, and James Bond is just a code name, and like,
which is true.
I'm not a fan of that. Like, I would prefer that James Bond is timeless and he does his thing, and like, doesn't matter. He's alive forever, and just.
Can't we do a 00 universe?
That
do
was
a movie about 005.
Yes. No, I'm
005, Andrea Claystone.
I think there's a lot in the 00 universe that can be explored, and this is a conversation for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to spoil out. However, I think that James Bond should be James Bond.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And the thing is, like, they kind of like he like winks at the audience, and then like the next section is like member berries, where like they play all the old music, and like he looks through his old things.
Again, insinuating that this is the same James Bond,
right.
But Blofeld doesn't recognize him. It's irritating.
This is like the best movie for Moneypenny.
Yeah.
And
she has great moments in this movie.
Yes, because she's got these two stubborn old white guys, and she like pulls the strings. And
yeah, the scene where he's like, I disagree with your decision, M, and I want to resign, and she's like, James, you don't really want to. Here's a 2 weeks notice.
Yeah,
he's like, oh,
it's vacation. Yeah,
Moneypenny, what would I do without you? And he's like, he's so tender with her.
Mm-hmm. And then in his wedding later, the same idea, like where she's so like
emotional,
and yeah.
But he recognizes it. He still clearly cares about her, whether or not they ever were going to be a thing. But he recognized it in her, and I love how he throws the hat to her, and she catches. Like, it's so meaningful. It's so good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's those.
And those are they're great moments, but I feel like the rest of the movie, like, there's so many other great moments.
Yeah. Especially, like, I love the whole scene when he's up in the Alp, or whatever the mountains are, and he's at that, like, place, and he's just, like, having his fill of women up there in the place, and it opens up a lot of these great, fun moments for James.
Wait, I wrote it down. It's one of my favorite.
The line when she... Okay.
When she draws on his leg with lipstick.
The woman draws on his leg with lipstick. And
just a slight stiffness coming on.
It is. That's one of the best lines in the whole series.
There's so much to like about this movie. and we haven't even touched the surface.
Let's talk about how Blofeld this time around is actually a capable Blofeld and not just a guy who hides in the shadows and pets his cat. He's like legit, get up in your face, I'm dastardly, and I will purposefully chase you down and run you out of town.
I feel like this Blofeld does not fit the rest of the series.
No.
But he is absolutely the best.
He's not as iconic as Donald Pleasant's presence, but Pleasant's presence. But
and he's not even like the shadow versions of him before and like after, and Trumpet's Gray. Like he's not like stroking his like the cat's there. He's just like, well, whatever. But like he's not this like kill Bond. You know, like he's
not all about the henchman doing everything. He's willing to get his hands dirty. And I appreciate that. But he's much more of a leader rather than a boss.
So he's not the representation of what we have come to know Blofeld as, but he is such a much better villain.
Yes.
Because he's charming. This is the guy who should offer Bond a cigarette, because he's always like, this is the guy that should give Bond a cigarette.
He's the guy that takes his job seriously and believes in it.
Yeah, he's got his little plan, and he's executes it, and he's capable physically. They have such a great chase in the bobsled and everything, and like he's so badass. He's like skiing, and he's like, "Oh, you guys go ahead. I'm about to kill you guys with."
Although it is pretty funny that he tells the three guys, "You three, keep going," and then he just starts an avalanche. He's like, "I don't care."
Whoops. Yeah. Who would work for this guy? No one would.
The workman's comp must be off the charts.
He tries to put a move on Bond's girl. Like he checks all the boxes. Like he's.
And since let's transition in the topic of Tracy, since you brought that up, because Tracy herself as a character is very capable herself. She is not a pansy.
Oh my god, she's the best Bond girl. I said it.
She's quite arguably one of the best, definitely.
The best.
Well, that I can't say. I don't know. I haven't seen all the movies.
We're going to revisit this later, but she's the best.
What's great about her, what I appreciate about her, is that we have said before in the previous movies, we've said in the previous movies how there are women that show up as villains who are kind of the antithesis of Bond, or quite more like these are female versions of James Bond who could go toe-to-toe with him, that on a connection level, they would gel better. In the sense of if they were romantically involved, I'm suggesting. But her character, at the beginning, she has this tough persona, and then she lets her guard down with him, and she becomes a person who not only legitimately cares about him, but is willing to do things for him, and just feel like the bravest person in the world. Like the scene where she drives the car protecting him, she picks him up and takes him with her, and she drives into that race. And it's just like, no big deal. Mm-hmm. She's treating it like, yeah, I'm the bravest girl around because I got my man with me and I'm going to defend him. Like, she's tough as nails. And she even looks like she gets a thrill out of it, and I love that about this character.
Yeah, no, I think everything about her is just, like, fantastic.
She's witty, too. She's got snips.
The thing is, like, her father is very much, like, old school, like, well, this is how women are, and Bond, we have to take care of her and manipulate her this way, and if you marry her, like, blah blah blah. And he's like, well, I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, but a woman needs this, and he's like, Meh.
Yeah.
And so she's got like this
hierarchy of
patriarch, like yeah, but she's still beyond this. It's great.
But she plays into it
from that, and she
plays into it because she wants it. She takes it for herself, and I find that so intriguing about the character. And the chemistry is good between her and Lazenby, I think.
Actually, Corey had a good thought that why not have Tracy be around for the whole thing? Like, have her be someone who was conflicted with this allergy, that she was in his lair the whole time. Like,
they could have worked that in.
I think that definitely could have been
and it could have been a fun little challenge between her and the other girls. Like, they all got to fight for his attention, and or him fighting for her attention.
Right, yeah, because that was always the thing that kind of like bothered me. Like, oh, we have all these scenes where like he loves her, like he's saving her from suicide, like he's really into her, and then he goes off, and this girl, he pretends to be gay, and like this girl's like writing with lipstick.
Right.
Like, it was kind of like, yeah, yes, we know King and Country, but is there some way that we could have worked Tracy into that, where she was part of that, and he didn't have to?
It's that fact that affected my score a little bit the more I thought about it. I'm still judging it for what it is. I still think it's great, but it's like the options that they could have done and worked with it a little bit differently could have made it just that little bit better.
Yeah, like you think of, I feel like this is so close to like Casino Royale in the way that it defies the Bond formula, and like this could have done it. This could have pushed the character of Bond to something different.
But especially right up until the last scene, which is the most heartbreaking thing, that the movie is like, I don't think the movie sets it up for you at all. And it just kind of happens. I mean, granted, we need James Bond to be the Bachelor, otherwise he's not James Bond, but I think that the ending scene where, obviously, if you're watching this, you know the movie, she ultimately dies. And it's I think Lazenby sells it in a very subtle way.
So this is the thing, like, when the last time I watched this movie, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure the movie ends with the credits with, what's his face, singing "You Have All the Time in the World," because it's like
it's a somber moment.
Because then I look back, and I'm like, oh god, he says these like deep lines, and then it goes to the James Bond theme, which is,
and you're like, does this tone fit this sad moment?
Yeah, no. So it all had bothered me in the past.
Doesn't bother me as much.
No, but this time around, because then I looked at him like, no, like he's really like this guy who is tongue-in-cheek, dry, like doesn't love anybody, like says these very like touching lines. Like,
I just love the fact that this movie was willing to end on such a somber, dark note, and I think that's what makes it one of my favorite moments of this entire series, is that it was willing to take that risk and just like, here it is, deal with it.
I love how License to Kill touches on this deep pain that Bond feels. That's why that's such a forgotten Bond film, and we will talk about that. But like, that is the natural follow-up to this movie. But this movie, great action sequences.
All the skiing stuff was really,
it's great.
top notch.
I love how Blofeld is in there getting his hands dirty. Like, he's capable. He's like a monster. The music is great. We wish that Lazenby was a little more charming, but the movie itself is just spectacular, and I can't say anything negative about it. So it's in my top 5 without question.
So what score do you give it then?
4.5.
I do think some scenes drag a little bit, but other than that, I think it's fairly solid. I was gonna give it 4.25. I certainly enjoyed the rewatch this time around.